think that there's another possibility here that we haven't really fully discussed with our viewers, and that is that using a CAR which is foreign is also potentially a good thing. Because while we've often thought we want to have the CARs persist and provide anti-tumor responses, especially as the ALL leukemia patients have, investigators have frequently advocated. On the other hand, if you hit them hard and you wipe out the lymphoma, perhaps the best thing that happens is that the recipient's immune system does reconstitute, eliminates that CAR T cell, and allows normal B cell recovery, T cell recovery, and CD4 cells. As a point of this, I'm going to point to, again, Michael Jane and Fred Locke's work published in Hematologica now, where they showed these CD4 counts being less than 200 in half the patients beyond a year. And again, many people wonder if that's the thymus in the older adults, the high-dose fludarabine, or perhaps B-cell aplasia contributing to a damaged germinal center. So we don't know. It's an exciting experiment.
It is. It is. I'd love to do the experiment. I'll tell you though that that Hematologica paper, I had the chance to read it as well, and that's unique to that product. Okay, yeah. We have different data with T-cell. For some reason, the immune system seems to regenerate much more readily. You see earlier B-cell recovery, immunoglobulin recovery as well, and cellular recovery as well. So again, I don't know if it's I can't think of a hypothesis that would make me think it was the CD28 co-stimulation, although I guess some kind of cytokine mediated thing, God knows, a lot of hand waving in immunology. But
I think
maybe it's
one. I think that, and I don't mean to beat this into the ground, but the allogene experience is really an experience of two things. It's the experience of lymphodepletion. And again, we kind of went back to reconsidering lymphodepletion in all aspects of it. Increasing the dosing of the cytoxan, increasing the dosing of the monoclonal antibody that's against CD52, staggering the lymphodepletion, putting the lymphodepletion at the same times. And so just studying the absolute lymphocyte count has turned into the most interesting experiment that I've done in a long time, which is, of course, not very elegant, Steve, but incredibly important, as they've shown in some of their data slides that they presented at the meeting today. The expansion of the CAR and the clinical response rates definitely correlated with the extent of the lymphodepletion that was achieved.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense because, there has to be room for expansion but I don't necessarily think, chemotherapy is the smartest way to do it. I don't know at what stage of lymphocyte development CD52 becomes expressed, but I'm sure somebody does, okay? And I'll wager that there are precursors that are present if you use CD52 alone to deplete cells, okay, that you'll have faster lymphocyte recovery than if you use a chemotherapeutic approach that is more likely to hit primitive or more primitive lymphoid precursors. But I don't know the answer.
And not to show any cards that I'm bound by a non-disclosure, but of course that's part of the experiment, and that is—
You're only being recorded, so you can say anything.
Of course, that's part of the experiment, is you can use this targeted therapy against the cells of the recipient's lymphocytes that is leaving the stealth CAR T cells immune. And likewise, Steve, you can go back at day 14 or day 30 and pump the cycle again and give another dose of anti-CD52, knock down the recipient's T cells again, and allow expansion of the CAR if you think you need it, without redosing and without having allosensitization, which is, I mean, it's potentially very exciting. Obviously, I'm going to show
I think it's exciting personally, and we're actually planning, if we can ever get out of COVID mode and now riots in the street, to actually, begin to do to work with Allogene at Penn as well. I kind of like it. I think, as was said by us, I guess, in our discussion prior to our recorded discussion, there may be differences in terms of the importance of persistence, because that you don't have the persistence with Allogene with an allogeneic product like this that you have with an autologous product. But there may be differences between diseases in terms of the importance of persistence. Anybody want to comment on that? I forget who mentioned it, but it was a great thought. I can repeat it. Somebody said, it's less important in lymphoma it seems as though persistence is less important in lymphoma than in ALL, based on what we've seen in the clinical studies. And maybe that may be right. You know, so the
To quote Safa, who says this all the time, in lymphoma, these are mature cells. You just need to wipe them out one time. You don't necessarily need CARs to persist if they're effective at eradicating the tumor cell. Whereas in acute leukemia, that might be a little bit different.
the cells are more stem-like, they're more repopulating, or just those young people can get up again and again and again. You keep knocking